how are the Warriors taking all the banter in the Twitterverse or the sports universe that this is unfair? The Boogie Cousins signing is unfair, Ray, and the commissioner needs to stop it.
They are cackling like drunks. They couldn't be less interested. I mean, they've done one of the weirdest things ever, and I don't mean like, Boogie Cousins is a difficult guy to deal with. That's not where I'm going. They actually spent $22 million to give a guy $5 million and $16 million to the league for the right to rehabilitate a guy's career so that he can leave and try to beat them next year. That, to me, that's the stunning part of all this, because they're not re-signing him. I mean, which player between Klay Thompson and Draymond Green do you get rid of to keep him, unless you're planning to become the first team ever to pay more in luxury tax than in actual salaries?
Because that's where things stand, right? That's where they stand with the salary cap, correct? With them?
Yeah, that's why they have to pay $22 million to sign Boogie Cousins. Cousins gets $5 million and change, but because they are so far because they are in the repeater tax, they have to pay $3.75 for every dollar they spend from this point forward. So basically, 5.2 becomes 21 or 22. I don't want to do the math again. My brain will bleed, but that's pretty much it. I mean, they said, here, we're going to save your career in exchange for three months of really hard work, and then you can go somewhere else and try to beat our brains out next year.
Now, would they have done this had LeBron not arrived in Los Angeles? Is there any sense of striking back and staying a step ahead? Like, why, I guess, would they do something like this?
I think the timing suggests that, but I think they might have done it anyway, because the one thing that the Warriors do that is reminiscent of the old Steinbrenner Yankees is that for the time being, money is literally no object. And so I think when Cousins people called Bob Myers and said, hey, could you fit him somewhere on your team because he's available? I mean, and they reached out and found out that nobody else was interested. So this was sort of, DeMarcus Cousins gambling on himself. And Bob Myers thought about it for a minute and said, well, let me run it by my council of ministers, which is basically his best players. And they all loved the idea. So he basically ran up to Joe Lacob and said, hey, I found a way to blow $22 million. What do you say? And Joe Lacob said, oh, yeah, fine. It's just, what do I care? It's just investors' money. And so they just did it. And they did it in a hurry. I don't know that if it was a response to LeBron signing in L.A., I don't think that, dampened their interest in doing it. But, I think they would have done it anyway. The added benefit of watching the rest of the league's shoulders just droop and go, we're screwed for all time, is probably just an added benefit.
Yeah, I mean, there is kind of like a trolling aspect of it. But, Ray Ratto, NBC Sports Bay Area here. But what are they supposed to do? Just sit back and let the rest of the league catch up to them? And if they do have an ownership that says, okay, I know it's going to cost us 3 times as much to spend to feather the nest of our competition into a luxury tax kitty, then so be it. But we're going to continue winning basketball games and championships and continue the dynasty and let everybody else bitch and moan about it, essentially. I mean, that's what's wrong with that?
No, nothing's wrong with it. It is what every franchise's fan base wishes their local billionaire would do. And look, when the price when it all ends, and it's going to end with a crash. I mean, I hope Warrior fans will at least recognize that A, the crash was inevitable, but the ride was way worth it. It's basically like putting people on a roller coaster and saying at some point the brakes are going to fail and you are all going to plummet into the lagoon and drown. But the ride will be hilarious. So they're signed up for the ride.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.